Hello, hello! My name is Kallista and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. In the last episode, we entered the Lothering Chantry to see who we had to speak to about getting Sten, the caged Qunari, released to us. We had a chat with Ser Bryant over there, he's the head of the Templars, but he said we had to speak to the Revered Mother, so let's see if we can find her. Okay, who else is over here? Well, we've got this guy with a quest marker above him.
Who? I beg your pardon. I did not see you approach.
Ser Donall? Is that you?
Alistair? By the Maker, how are you? I was certain you were dead.
Very nearly, Ser Donall. May I introduce my fellow Grey Warden? We are the last two in Ferelden, as far as I know.
Terrible news indeed. Pleased to meet you, my lady. Might I know your name?
You can call me Artin. I am Artin. It is a pleasure to meet you. I prefer not to mention that, thank you. I am Artin. It is a pleasure to meet you.
I trust you are staying discreet, with the bounty placed on your heads.
Trying to.
We've heard Loghain's accusations, but he's the one who betrayed the king.
If Arl Eamon were well, he'd set Loghain straight soon enough.
If he were well? What do you mean?
The Arl is stricken with an illness that threatens his life. We have found no cure, either natural or magical.
When did this happen?
Only a few weeks ago, but he has declined quickly. No one knows the nature of the illness, and even magic has done little to slow its progress. Our only hope now is a miracle. Every knight of Redcliffe has gone in search of the Urn of Sacred Ashes. Andraste's ashes are said to cure any illness, but I fear we are chasing a fable. With each day, my hope dims.
This is very distressing news. I should go. Shouldn't you be fleeing the Darkspawn? I was hoping to meet Arl Eamon, in fact. So your quest for the Ashes brought you here. Tell me more about this Urn of Sacred Ashes. Your friend Sir Henrik is dead. I have something of this. Did the letter mention Ser Donall? I can't... To be honest, it's been a few episodes since we found the dead Templar on the Imperial Highway, so I can't really remember that codex entry. I don't know if Artin would either. So your quest for the Ashes brought you here?
I expected to take advantage of the Chantry's library, in fact, but my skills are better suited to battle than chasing down tales.
Tell me more about this Urn of Sacred Ashes.
Supposedly, the urn contains the ashes of the prophetess Andraste. Surely you know all this.
We dwarves don't learn much about your religion. I'd like to hear what you've learned. It simply seems like a waste of time. Perhaps I could help you. We dwarves don't learn much about your religion.
If you're truly interested, there are books here containing a great deal of lore. Nothing I have found leads me to believe that this was anything more than a quest of desperation. I intend to return to Redcliffe soon and tell the Arlessa exactly that, once Sir Henrik arrives.
But I imagine she would remember the name Sir Henrik, because it did say that that was his name on the little locket thing we had. So now that he's mentioned the name, I can, in good conscience, keep this roleplay friendly and say, your friend Sir Henrik is dead. I have something of his.
What? And you have his locket? And a note? Maker's mercy. Thank you for giving me these. I would never have known otherwise.
Is there a reward? No, we're not going to ask that. I'm sorry about your friend. I drove off the bandits that killed him. I'm sorry about your friend.
Thank you. I wonder how many of us have met similar fates on this mad quest.
Shouldn't you be fleeing the Darkspawn? Well, he's on a quest. He really can't be. Also, as far as we know, I don't think the Darkspawn have reached Redcliffe yet. They're still kind of hanging about the Qunari wilds. I was hoping to meet Arl Eamon, in fact.
Why is that, if I may ask?
We need his help against Loghain. I would prefer not to say. So this isn't some randomer. This is a Knight of Redcliffe, I think. And if Alistair is willing to vouch for this guy, I mean, Alistair introduced us as Grey Wardens to him, so if Alistair says that he's okay, then Artin's going to assume that he's okay. We need his help against Tern Loghain.
I see. The Arl is a popular man, it's true. Tern Loghain, however, is a hero throughout Ferelden. Whatever the Tern has done or not done, the Arl remains ill, or worse. That is my primary concern.
Is there any point in going to Redcliffe? Of course there's a point. The Arl might have family that we could speak to instead. Someone's going to be taking care of Redcliffe. Do you think Loghain is involved with the Arl's illness? Ooh. Do you have any advice? Even if we have no evidence that Loghain is involved in the Arl's illness, and even if Artin doesn't believe that, it's good to start up these rumours, I think. If he's putting out his own propaganda, then we need to start putting out our propaganda. Do you think Loghain is involved with the Arl's illness?
The Arl fell ill before the king died.
Ah.
But what if Loghain planned that too? Oh, such thoughts do not sit well with me.
We should see what's happening in Redcliffe ourselves. I believe that now more than ever.
If nothing else, I am certain you would be welcomed at Castle Redcliffe. The Arlessa is there, and she could tell you more than I could.
Yeah, he has a wife, so even if the Arl can't help us, his wife can. I should go.
With Henrik gone, I need to return to Redcliffe. Perhaps later I will seek out the scholar his note mentions. But I must go. Thank you again, my lady. You have been most helpful.
No worries. Aha, we have a new codex. Oh, and we have something in characters, okay. The Sacred Ashes of Andraste. Only one person witnessed Matharath's betrayal. Havard the Aegis. A childhood friend of Matharath, he accompanied his chief to the meeting with the Tevinters, not realising what was planned. When he understood that Matharath was giving Andraste over to be executed, Havard, unwilling to draw swords against his friend and liege, placed himself between Andraste and the Tevinter soldiers. The Tevinters struck him down, and Matharath left him for dead. Gravely wounded, Havard made his way to the gates of Minrathous to stop the execution. When he reached it, the terrible deed was already done, the armies on the plains long since dispersed. Havard, cursing his weakness, gathered the earthly remains of Andraste that had been left to the wind and rain and wept. When his fingers touched the pile of ash, his ears filled with song, and he saw before him a vision of Andraste, dressed in cloth made of starlight. She knelt at his side, saying, "The Maker shall never forget you so long as I remember." The song faded, and the vision with it, and Havard was alone, but his wounds were healed. With new strength, Havard took up the ashes of Our Lady and bore them back to the lands of the Alamari. From Thedas, Myths and Legends by Brother Genitivi. Okay. And characters. We have Arl Eamon Qwinn. Nobility does not exist without obligation. We owe all we have, even our lives, to our land and our people. As the maternal uncle of King Cailan, Arl Eamon is one of the king's most trusted advisors. Redcliffe, while not a large or especially wealthy part of Ferelden, is a critical strategic location. The fortress guards the western pass that leads to Orlais, as well as the major trade route with Orzammar. A well-respected man, though not the most charismatic. King Cailan once said of him, "My uncle Eamon is a man everyone thinks well of, when they remember to think of him at all." He fell ill with a mysterious condition that even magic could not treat. Okay. I imagine... Oh, hello.
Spoke, chant of light scattered in the darkness. The word dispelled fear and ignorance. Let those who cry out from the shadows be comforted. Let those who seek redemption be delivered. Let those who have sinned be forgiven.
And when the chant spreads across all four corners of the world, let it rise at last to the ears of the Maker. Let him hear our unwavering faith. Let him hear our righteous dedication and enduring perseverance.
And then shall the Maker return to us. And then shall the Maker return to the Black City in heaven. And then shall the chant of light make it pure. Let all mankind be humbled. Let all repeat the chant of light. Only the word dispels the darkness upon us.
And when the Maker spoke, a chant of light scattered in the darkness. The word dispelled fear and ignorance. Let those who cry out from the shadows be comforted. Let those who seek redemption be delivered. Let those who have sinned be forgiven.
And when the chant spreads across all four corners
Flipping
of the
heck,
world,
how long is this?
let it rise at last to the ears of the Maker. Let him hear our unwavering faith. Let him hear our righteous dedication and enduring perseverance.
And then shall the Maker return to us. And
Then shall the Maker return to the black city in heaven. And then shall the chant of light make it pure.
Let all mankind be humbled. Let all repeat the chant of light. Only the word dispels the darkness upon us.
And when the Maker spoke, a chant
Okay, I
of
think they're
light
just
scattered-
repeating. I think they're just repeating. What I was going to say is that, you know what, I'll go into that later. For now, the Maker. There was no word, for heaven or for earth, for sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out, the first word, and his word became all that might be. Dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. And from it he made his firstborn. And he said to them, In my image I forge you. To you I give dominion over all that exists. By your will may all things be done. Then in the centre of heaven he called forth a city with towers of gold, streets with music for cobblestones, and banners which flew without wind. There he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. The children of the Maker gathered before his golden throne, and sang hymns of praise unending. But their songs were the songs of the cobblestones. They shone with the golden light reflected from the Maker's throne. They held forth the banners that flew on their own. And the voice of the Maker shook the fade, saying, In my image I have wrought my firstborn. You have been given dominion over all things that exists. By your will all things are done, yet you do nothing. The realm I have given you is formless, ever-changing. And he knew that he had wrought amiss. So the Maker turned from his firstborn, and took from the fade a measure of its living flesh, and placed it apart from the spirits, and spoke to it, saying, Here I decree opposition in all things, for earth, sky, for winter, summer, for darkness, light. By my will alone is balance sundered, and the world given new life. And no longer was it formless, ever-changing. It held fast, immutable. With words for heaven and for earth, sea and sky, at last did the Maker from the living world make men, immutable as the substance of the earth, with souls made of dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. Then the Maker said, To you, my second-born, I grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquenchable flame, all-consuming and never satisfied. From the fade I crafted you, and to the fade you shall return, each night in dreams, that you may always remember me. And then the Maker sealed the gates of the golden city, and there he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. Threnodies 5:1-8.
In the darkness.
What I was going to say is that...
Accurate likeness of Andraste. Maybe she was ugly. Maybe she had buck teeth. How will we know?
That's very interesting, Alistair, but please let me get my point across. What I keep trying to say is that the chant must seem very odd to Artin, given that the dwarves worship the stone, and it's not exactly like you say the stone can't exist, because it's like, oh well, what are we stood on? Stone. And what are the walls made of? Stone. And what's the ceiling? Stone. Like, the stone is literally all around them. The thing that they kind of honour, they can touch, they can see it, they can lick it if they want to. So I really don't think Artin would grasp the concept of they're praying to something that they can't see or touch, that, you know, doesn't speak back or anything. I mean, the surface folk don't have any kind of Maker sense in the same way that dwarves have stone sense. I think this is all just very confusing to Artin. Adventures of the Black Fox. Born Lord Remy Vascal in 863 Blessed, the Black Fox was a dashing thief and rogue who went on to inspire so many tales of his exploits that it is nearly impossible to determine today which are true and which are merely fabricated legend. Despite coming from nobility, he has become something of a hero to the common people. His initial exploits involved ridiculing the tyrannical and powerful Lord of Valshavan. Wearing a mask, he would appear in public and disrupt the Lord's plans to the point that the Lord angrily put a huge bounty on the life of this cunning fox, the origin of the nickname which stuck. That the primary bounty hunter who took the job, Carolus, ended up becoming Remy's lifelong partner in crime, only after nearly killing him several times, is one of the most popular tales told in taverns today. The story is often exaggerated to make Remy appear initially buffoonish, until Carolus becomes so furious at the Black Fox's inexplicable ability to survive that the cunning Remy gains the upper hand, which impresses Carolus so much that the bounty hunter joins him. Ooh, flippin' heck. After years of terrorising the Lord's men and foiling his tax collectors, a favourite pastime of Remy's according to the Orlesian commoners, Remy was supposedly betrayed by his lover, Servana de Montfort, that name. Duke Prosper de Montfort, in Dragon Age 2, he's the guy that holds the party that Hawk and Talis attends. I don't like Talis. Servana de Montfort, in some versions of this tale, a mage of the Circle no less, and captured. After more than a year of torture, Remy was rescued from prison by his compatriots, including a repentant Savannah, and together they escaped Orlais. In this period of Remy's adventures, he appears almost everywhere in Thedas. As his legend grew, more innkeepers and merchants were happy to claim that the Black Fox had visited their village or establishment and performed some legendary feat. If the tales are to be believed, Remy led the Lord's men on a merry chase. He became embroiled in political intrigue in Navarra, was hunted by the crows of Antiva, and then kidnapped by a powerful mage in Tevinter. In each situation, Remy escaped death at the last moment, foiled the evildoer, and improved life for the poor and downtrodden. Then, inevitably, he rejoined his band of adventurers and moved on to the next land. His companions Carolus and Savannah, the wise dwarf Bolek, and the tempestuous knight Sir Clementis have each spawned their own individual legends over the years. The stories all agree that, at some point, the Black Fox disappeared. He and his fellow adventurers voyaged into the heart of the Arlathan forest, seeking the sunken city of the Elves, and never returned. Many more are the tales that expand on what ultimately happened to them in that forest, and postulate on how they could someday be rescued. From The Adventures of the Black Fox by Gaston Garault, 911 Dragon. Okie doke. We have a chest back here. Ooh, bronze symbol of Andraste, and it's a gift. Very nice. Oh, Codex updated. We've just read this, so I'm not going to go through all of this again. Let's see. I think I read up to he took the ashes back to the lands of the Alamari. Fearing that Mafarath's supporters would defile them, Havar took the ashes of Andraste to a secluded place high in the mountains, and there he carved from the living rock an urn to hold them. Time passed, and the whereabouts of the urn faded from memory. Perhaps it was the Maker's will that only the most worthy should find his beloved's final resting place. Now we have only the legends, such as that of the Chevalier Lothair, who quested to find the urn to save his dying daughter, and either found it in time to cure her, or returned 100 years after her death. The ballads end less than certain on that point. From Thedas Myths and Legends by Brother Genitivi. Okay.
And then shall the Maker return to
I mean, it would be nice to get some definitive information. I think that would be incredibly frustrating. Ooh. Nice. To Artin, as I mentioned, the dwarves can touch the stone. Having a god that you can't even see is a little bit weird to her. And here is Pater Gritch for the irregulars.
Yes? What can I do for you?
Hello, Cullen. I have a letter from you for the Blackstone... I butchered that sentence completely. I have a letter for you from the Blackstone Irregulars. Nothing for now. I have a letter for you from the Blackstone Irregulars.
I knew this time would come. I should have listened to my sister. Sure, sign the paper, she said. You'll enjoy some coin now, but they'll be back. I guess I'll see you on the front lines.
Okay, and... here is the Revered Mother and a book. The Imperial Chantry, okay. The Imperial Chantry. There are those who would tell you that the Chantry is the same everywhere as it is here, that the divine in Val Royeaux reigns supreme in the eyes of the Maker, and that this fact is unquestioned throughout Thedas. Do not believe it. The Maker's second commandment, magic must serve man, not rule over him, never held the same meaning within the ancient Tevinter Imperium as it did elsewhere. The Chantry there interpreted the rule as meaning that mages should never control the minds of other men, and that otherwise... I think I completely misread that. The Chantry there interpreted the rule as meaning that mages should never control the minds of other men, and that otherwise their magic should benefit the rulers of men as much as possible. When the clerics of Tevinter altered the Chant of Light to reflect this interpretation of the commandment, the divine in Val Royeaux ordered the clerics to revert to the original chant. They refused, claiming corruption in Val Royeaux, an argument that grew until, in 487 Towers, the Chantry in Tevinter elected its own, legitimate and uncorrupted, divine Valhale, who was not only male, but also happened to be one of the most prominent members of the Tevinter Circle of the Magi? Oh well, if it says the Magi. Prominent members of the Tevinter Circles of the Magi. This black divine was reviled outside Tevinter, his existence an offence to the Chantry in Val Royeaux. After 4 exalted marches to dislodge these rebels, all that the Chantry in Val Royeaux accomplished was to cement the separation. While most aspects of the Imperial Chantry's teachings are the same, prohibitions against magic have been weakened, and male priests have become more prevalent. The Circle of the Magi today rules Tevinter directly, ever since the Archon Normaran was elected in 734 Storm directly from the ranks of the Enchanters, to great applause from the public. He dispensed with the old rules forbidding mages from taking part in politics, and within a century, the Trull rulers within... Trull rulers? I am butchering this codex entry, excuse me. He dispensed with the old rules, forbidding mages from taking part in politics, and within a century, the true rulers within the various imperial houses, the mages, took their places openly within the government. The Imperial Divine is now always drawn from the ranks of the First Enchanters and operates as Divine and Grand Enchanter both. This is utter heresy to any member of the Chantry outside of Tevinter, a return to the days of the Magisters, which brought the Blights down upon us. But it exists, and even though we have left the Tevinter Imperium to the mercies of the dread Qunari, still they have endured. Further confrontation between the Black Divine and our so-called White Divine is inevitable. From Edicts of the Black Divine by Father David of Carinus, 811, Blessed. And hello there, madam.
Good day, Sister Leliana. I'm surprised to see you're still in Lothering.
It is good to see you as well, Your Reverence.
I do not recognize your companion. Greetings. Will you be making a donation to the Chantry? Our need has never been greater.
I have nothing to offer. Who are you? What tithe is acceptable? Tithe to the Chantry? Are you joking? Well, Liliana called her Reverence, so we can assume this is the Revered Mother. What tithe is acceptable?
Might I suggest 30 silver?
I have nothing to offer. I'm sorry, but I only have 10 silver. Very well, 30 silver it is. I can offer 5 sovereigns. Perhaps I should go. Very well, 30 silver it is.
Thank you, dear woman. What can I do for you then?
Nothing of importance. I want to talk about Sten, the Qunari imprisoned. I am a Grey Warden. I need your help. I was hoping to receive your blessing, not number 4. And considering we asked Sir Bryant for help, I feel a bit bad asking both of them for help. I want to talk about Sten, the Qunari you imprisoned.
It might have been kinder to execute him, but I leave his fate to the Maker. Why does he interest you?
Is there any way I can convince you to release him? What did he do? What if this causes an incident with his people? I want him freed. I might have a use for him. Never mind. What did he do?
He butchered an entire farmhold. Only one of the youngest hid long enough to survive. Ooh. The child said his father had found the Qunari gravely wounded and took him in. That kindness was repaid with murder. The bandsman found the Qunari just standing amidst the carnage. He did not resist them.
Okay. That's very interesting. Like I said, I was operating under the thought that Artin had no context. Yes, he murdered 8 people, including children, but did they provoke him, or did he just walk up to their house and start murdering him? But no, they found him, and they tended to him, and he killed them. Okay. Is there any way I can convince you to release him? Are you certain he did it? What would make him do such a thing? What if it causes an incident with his people? I want him freed. I might have a use for him. Okay. Are you certain he did it?
He confessed quite readily, but would give no reason for the crime. Even the seasoned knights who apprehended him were disturbed by the carnage. However docile he appears, do not be fooled. That Qunari is a danger.
Okay. I don't think this alters the fact that Artin, would want him released. Because my thinking is that where Artin comes from, people who commit, very heinous crimes such as this, they join the Legion. And they go out into the deep roads and they kill Darkspawn until they themselves are killed. And that's how they can make up for their crime. In Artin's mind, she's kind of like Sten's Legion of the Dead. She's kind of thinking, if he comes with me and he fights some Darkspawn and then he dies, then he'll have made up for it. In kind of and not exactly made up for it. You can't really make up for murdering some kid's entire family, but he'll have been protecting Ferelden. And through that, he can kind of put it slightly right. Is there any way I can convince you to release him?
Then his next victims might count you and me as their murderers.
I was thinking you might release him into my custody. Persuade, lie, I've come to return him to his people. Intimidate, I think you should reconsider that stance. Now. I suppose that's a no? I was thinking you might release him into my custody.
And what do you say on this, Leliana? You know your friend better than I.
These are unusual times, Your Reverence. With us, the Qunari might do some good. I am sure of it, in fact.
Were things not so desperate? Very well, I trust you. Take these keys to his cage and make her watch over you.
Thank you, Your Reverence. Your trust is not misplaced.
Thank you. Okie doke. That's a relief. I'm glad that we're going to be able to free him before the Darkspawn come. I think even if she had said no, Artin... It's the fact that they're leaving him in a cage to be overwhelmed. That's just... It doesn't sit well with Artin. I think she'd try and break him out, to be perfectly honest. Just so that he could... If he wanted to stay in Lothering and fight the Darkspawn on his own terms, fine, but, at least give him a shot first. Okay. Let's head down there. Anyone got anything to say as we go?
Why do you always go on about how stupid I am? I'm not stupid, am I?
If you need to ask the question...
Because it hurts my manly feelings, Or one of them.
Then I'll be sure to write you an apology once all of this is over.
I was educated by the Chantry. I studied history. They don't make stupid Templars.
Then I must have been mistaken. I'm very impressed.
No, you're not. You're not even listening to me.
My, you are smarter than you look after all. Your Chantry must have been very proud.
Oh, poor Alistair. Now then, before we actually free Sten, I am just about out of time for this episode, so please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.